Hi, these are the fill in the blanks for Management 1000 lecture number 7. So without any further ado, we'll get rolling. One of the first things I did, this is in the lecture 6 video, was basically take the Apple, iPod, iTunes business model from page 46 and 47 of the business model generation book and then map it out on the canvas. So I'm not going to do that. I will let you look at that in the book on those pages. We talked about business model generation patterns, and I suggested that you go back to the original works and read all about it. We looked at the long tail, and I gave some examples from Chris Anderson's article of 2004, and talked about recommendation engines and different things like that. Multi-sided platforms, and again, I walked through half of the business model canvas. I didn't talk about the back-end stuff, talked about the customer-facing stuff, and this is for the Google search engine business. So very quickly, Google has customer segments, you and me, so-called web surfers. It's kind of hard to write with my pen here. So we have web surfers, and the value proposition is they offer a search product, which everybody uses Google, and how much should you pay for it? It costs nothing. So they're making $0 on this transaction with the web surfers. But what is happening is they offer up keywords and other information to advertisers. And advertisers will pay to have their ad float to the top of a particular search. So that's how that business model works. And this is what it looks like. Again, we've got free search is part of the value proposition targeted at web surfers, and that is free, not much money in that to pay for all those Google scientists and so on and so forth. But the other value proposition is targeted ads. And the customer relationship piece here is the advertisers. And then we have keyword auctions. And that's how Google makes their money. So again, I refer you to this page in the textbook. And that was what we looked at in the notes here. And then I gave a similar example with iStock Photo. Customer segments, people who need stock photos. People like me to put them in presentation. And I purchase credits. Whoops. So I have dollars, I buy credits. And the company actually gets those dollars. And then back here, the value proposition for me is low cost, but high quality stock photography. And there we go. So I'm giving them money for credits, and they're giving me great images and so on. But you need to have a steady supply of this coming in. So what they offer, if you're an amateur photographer, right, you can provide them with the content, and in exchange they'll give you some credits back. So they're always refreshing their content through amateur photographers, and then you have this credit system, and it works really slick. So there's dollars coming in, whoops, and new photographs coming in, so on and so forth. So we talked about that in class. What else? Various business models. We looked at epicenters of business model innovation. Then again, resource driven, so you start from your resource side, basically everything over here, and then you push out new value propositions can impact on the dollars and cents. You can start with the value proposition, push back into your resources, push back in your customer segment, and so on. The example that they gave in the book was Cemex, which is a Mexican cement company. The value proposition was if you want a load of cement, the usual time is 40 hours lead time. Let's make that 4 hours. So if that's our new value proposition, how is it going to impact our customers? Do we have different customer segments? How is it going to impact on revenues and costs and so on? And especially how is it going to impact on our operations? Customer driven, again, starting at this side and modifying your business model in this direction. Finance driven, starting down here, looking at your revenue streams, your cost structure, and so on, impacting your value proposition and all your resources. And again, they gave the famous model of Xerox copiers and so on here. I don't recall off the top of my head which these ones are, but you'll find them in the book. So that's all we talked about with this stuff here. Think and feel. Again, this is an empathy map, and we're trying to get inside our customer's head. So what is our customer thinking and feeling? What do they see? What do they say and do? What do they hear? And we used some naive examples. If you go to Starbucks, for example, you've got the lighting, the wallpaper, the baristas, the general setup of the store. Things you say at Starbucks, I'd like a double or sort of grande, venti, latte, half-calf, decaf, one shot of this. Right? It's a different language than you use when you go to Tim Hortons and you order a double-double. For example. So what do you say and do? What are the things you hear? Well, you hear the jazz music in the background. The customers happily tap away on their Wi-Fi enabled laptops and so on. And you want people to come away with a really good feeling about this expensive coffee that they're purchasing. And then you can get into the gains, right? What is the pain the person's feeling? They need some caffeine. Coffee will fix that. Maybe there's some, you're a socialite, you need to be walking down the street holding something when the paparazzi take your picture, so a nice big white Starbucks cup with the logo blazing will help you meet that gain, and so on and so forth. So you can see the empathy map information in the textbook. And then finally, the famous story about Steve Jobs. He returns to Apple, and Apple's in a bit of disarray. Actually, they're just mere months from complete bankruptcy. And he walks into a meeting room, and he says, okay, here's how we're going to get the company back together. And like most things in business school, draws a 2x2 matrix. And there were all kinds of Apple products with all kinds of strange numbers. The Mac 7260, and how is that better than a 7250, and all these different things. So he said, look, let's take our customers and divide them into two. We've got our consumers and our professionals. Where do they use the computers? Desktop, laptop. And then he said, okay, let's focus all our efforts. If you're a consumer, we're going to give you an iMac. Brand new. This was the sort of the nice multicolored teardrop-shaped iMacs. The world had never seen these things. Brand new thing. If you're a desktop user, a professional, we got a Power Mac for you. They got rid of all the beige boxes and they went with translucent plastics and things like that. Laptop. The iBook computer, and then on the Pro side, the PowerBook. And just by, coming up with this simple idea, he really, really, really focused the company, and the rest, they say, is history. So, interesting story about Steve Jobs, one of those famous business stories that you hear all the time, and that's that one. And that's all I had for lecture number 7.